guys, welcome back. So on this episode, I'm going to be doing the 50-hour service on my John Deere 333G, and I'll show you what we're doing here. So here's the Planetary drive gear. So what you want to do is, here's the level. See how this little drop, you want to see that this drop is in the orientation like this, and this is the level of the oil. So this will be your drain. This is your fill, and this is your check. This is where you check it. And yeah, so basically you don't want this to be warm. You want it to be pretty cool. Yeah, let's get right into it. So buddy, you gonna help me change the oil? All right, so tools needed is, you're gonna need a ratchet. You're gonna need an 8mm, an 8, there you go, and a hex key. And then you're gonna need 2 of these 32 fluid ounce GL5 80 weight 90 or equivalent. All right, so this is basically like kind of like a rule of thumb when you're doing, like, you know, on a vehicle, on a truck, you're doing a differential service or something like that. You always want to loosen the fill plug first, because if for whatever reason that's stripped out and you loosen the drain, all the oil comes out, and then when you try to go fill it, if this is stripped out, now you're kind of out of luck and you don't have any oil. So basically that's what the John Deere manual says to do here. Just crack this one, open that up. I already kind of loosened this one. You're gonna want to clean off that magnet because there's some shavings in there. So I'll set that down right there. And now we can loosen up the drain. That's some nasty oil. That's why we're draining it. This is a 50-hour service. And then, so just remember which, I like to just keep mine. This is the drain, this is the fill. They look the same, but I just like to know. I would put them back in the same spot. So we're gonna give this a minute to drain. I'll be right back. All right, so the manual says that this has got to be cool. It's got to be cool to the touch, but I'm just not sure about that because it's just taking a really long time to get all this fluid out. So, I mean, as long as most of it is out, I may try to warm up the other side just a little bit, just to get it to drain faster. Either way, however much you want to get out of this, you know, what you feel right, then you can go ahead and put your drain plug back on, which I'm going to do. Clean this all up real good. And mine's still kind of dripping because what I did was I took the new oil and I just put a little bit. You don't want to put a lot because you need 0.85 liters to fill this up, and that bottle is 0.95. So yeah, you don't want to. I just put in a little bit just to kind of get it to drain a little bit more and just kind of flush it out a little bit. But you definitely want to measure out how much you can put in there if you want to do what I did, measure it out. And then let's get the torque spec on that. All right, so I couldn't find a torque spec, so I'm just gonna make sure it's tight. You know, if you're doing it with one of these small ratchets, you're not gonna over tighten it. And you don't want to just crank on this thing because it does have an O-ring on there, so it's not gonna be very tight. It's just gonna be, it is, you gotta get it tight, but not too tight. All right, so the drain plug is on. The fill is off still. Now I'm gonna loosen the check plug. You can take your bottle, and just start slowly putting it in this top. And I'll check back in with you guys. All right, so helpful tip. When you go to cut the tip off of this, just, you know, barely cut it so that there's a little hole, because see that piece of metal right here? It kind of gets in the way of you getting the oil in there. So if you can manage to stick it in that side, just on the side where that little gap is, it kind of goes a little faster. I mean, it's still pretty slow. There's the fill, so you can stick it up there, and then you can kind of just squeeze the bottle. Ain't that right, Arthur? Arthur, come. Yes, good boy. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's, the level's coming up. See, it's about to go on those threads. So once you get there, pause a minute with your fill, and then you'll see that level kind of go down a little bit. Let it settle out. And once you see that it's not really moving anymore, then you can go ahead and top it off. And once it starts leaking off, then you can thread on the check plug. But yeah, I mean, it sure would be nice if I guess I could figure out the threads and then put like a 90 on there with some kind of funnel, and I can just, you know, add a bunch at a time, or, you know, half of it, and kind of walk away from this, because yeah, this takes a while. You got to have some patience for this, because you can't really, there's stuff blocking it, there's the metal blocking it, so you got to barely just feed it a little bit, otherwise it just comes right out. But there is the, let me give it a little bit more. There's the level. And the other thing that kind of sucks about this is that, like, one side, I got one side nice and level, and what I wanted to do is drain this side and drain the other at the same time, but when I walked over to the other side wasn't level. It wasn't the same as this, so I'm going to have to fill this up, and then I'll track the skid steer a couple inches forward, and then I'll have to do that side. But there's a level there. You can see it's just about to come out of the threads. There it goes. And all right, there you go. So yeah, just remember not to tighten these up really super tight, because there's a little O-ring on there, so you don't want to crush that O-ring. That O-ring's going to do the sealing. You can come back later and you know, see if it's leaking. If it's leaking a little bit, then you can obviously tighten it up a little bit more. I will try to find the torque spec and post it in the description. And yeah, so the other side, just basically do the same thing. Like I said, see how this one isn't level, so kind of a bummer. you'd figure that they'd both be level so you could be a little more efficient with your time. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and I'm going to track this one forward just a couple inches and then get this nice and level, and then I'll do this side. But it should be the same process, same thing. Alright guys, thanks for watching.